Hi everyone. So, do you believe the End Time Prophecies? I received quite a few messages the past 12 hours and somewhat negative. And they came from the US, from Canada, from Europe, and some of them were from peoples who were deeply religious, okay, and they had this deep fear in them, and they recited some prophecies that this is the end of the world, and what's going to happen is that grab your Quran, grab your Bible, and otherwise you will, this is your last chance, and you need to do this, otherwise you'll be left behind. It was strange because I just received this just the past 12 hours, and I was stunned. And it wasn't coming from Asia; it was coming from North America, USA, Canada, and from Europe. So that surprised me. And these peoples are not of the older group. These are fairly young people. So I don't know it's the age group, but there is definitely this fear going around, and there are lots of prophecies. People are sharing a lot of write-ups. There was this prediction, I think it was, by this psychic lady about 2020, about a virus coming from Asia, all right, and it would affect the lungs, and people will be, it would spread like wildfire, and it'll go very quickly. You heard of Sylvia Brown. She's an elderly lady, so there was one article on that in fact, I read it on the New York Times. It was featured just recently. And also there is the I believe the Nostradamus prophecy. Let me see here. I wrote it down. Nostradamus prophecy about 2020, that there will be a World War III, but a different kind of war. Okay. You could call this a biological warfare, So it'll go on for a while. That's what Nostradamus' prediction. And what the words he said was, twice put up and twice cast down, the East will also weaken the West. Interesting. So, prophecy that something from the East will weaken the West. Yes, and then there's also warning signs in the biblical, consider the biblical end times. In the book of Revelation talks about how a significant proportion of humanity will be wiped out by disease and pestilence. Now, in the Old Testament, the 2 Chronicles 7:13 to 15, okay, there's a part here where God told Solomon, when I shut up the heavens so that there is no rain, or command locusts to devour the land, or send a plague among my people, and my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins and heal their land. So all sorts of prophecies, and I do believe in the book of Revelation, but understand it's very symbolic. And I also do follow Nostradamus. Again, Nostradamus speaks in code. You have to really read between the lines. But the reason why I wanted to run this session is because there is a lot of fear, and my perspective of this, it is not end of the world. It is a reset and a revamp. And we will look back 10 years from now, the next generation will look back at this time as a moment where everybody is shaken up to understand that we're all in it together. There is unity required. There is obedience required. There's discipline required to get through this. And also, there is a need to go back to spirituality rather than materialism. All these decades, we have been obsessed with materialism, obsessed with external pleasures. Now is the time to look into the internal, not just the internal, discovery, but also there is a pleasure in finding out who you are and where you come from, and also discovering the God within. That itself is a pleasure. So there's still not significant enough of us doing that. I was listening to Dr. Stephen Greer, who is the foremost in UFO research, and he was saying about how 1% of the population of the Earth, which is about 7 million people, 70 million people would actually come together, and 70 million people come together and pray and meditate. Everything will change. We can shift faster into this new world, this heaven on earth, this Garden of Eden, which we've been aspiring for and praying for. So I did share about how it's an opportune moment for us to decide on the future. We can decide on 2 different pathways. The end of the world, which is through fear, trying to escape, latching on to the old life, or accepting this situation and going into the inner. And then you have the complete opposite happening. So when I got these messages about the end times, I replied back that, there's really no need to worry about it's end times. It's a difficult time. But we are still sitting in our homes. And the real difficulty are those who are homeless. Those who are affected by their businesses, yes, but those who are homeless are the real ones who are challenged, and those who are sick. So this is something we can handle. It's just abstinence. So try not to focus too much on that end of the world situation. And also I would discourage sending fearful messages around. If you want to encourage people to become more spiritual, more religious, do it in a different tone. Use a different tone with it. The tone of love. God is love. And bring them to that direction, that pathway, through loving messages, rather than fearful messages that you've got to pick up the Quran, you've got to pick up the Bible, otherwise you're going to suffer. You're going to be left behind. Now, these are the prophecies. I think there were a few others. There were a couple of pastors who prophesied that this will shake up and then will shake up the world and then leave quickly. That's what some pastors and prophets have prophesied. This is what I feel also. But I feel it'll really leave quickly once we realize and once we change. And I'm quite positive actually about what's really going to happen and what's happening now. But we have to still stay grounded and remembering why we are going through this. Why we're going through this. This isolation is a part of transformation. It's okay to eat less. It's okay to live a more introverted life. you are not really alone. I have been alone right now in this place, my house I've been alone in my house for about 5 days now, which is all right. I spend time discovering myself. I spend time reading. So do that as much as you can. And yes, so moving forward, this is also a good time to recount all your bad habits, the things that you've done wrong, and how you can correct them moving forward. This is like a time of atonement, a walk of atonement for you. And if you have a garden, go barefoot walking. That's a good way to neutralize your body and drain out the positive ions. Do all the things which you didn't have a chance to do. Start growing some vegetables at home. I have started doing that. Lemons, drink lemon water, warm water, avoid cold water, and drink as much as possible. Always keep your throats hydrated so that, even if you do get infected, it doesn't stay. So I do a lot of research on how you can keep strong and healthy. Everybody's in this together, regardless of what race, religion, country. And I'm optimistic that there'll be quite significant changes in people when they come out of this. I see that by the end of 2020, so many of us would have changed. Also at this time, we need to pray for those who are suffering, especially the elderly. Especially the elderly, who are going to be the hardest hit for this virus. And I encourage you to pray as many times as possible. There is no limit to prayer. Even to carry out a walking prayer. So when you're walking around your house, walking in your garden, to just pray. There is no fixed ritual. There's no fixed system. It's just about keeping the focus. I don't follow any ritual when I do my prayers. As a spiritual Christian, I pray on my prayer rug, on my Islamic prayer rug, which Muslims use. I do that. That's my style. And I feel comfortable with that. That is my sanctuary. Choose a place that becomes your sanctuary so that it carries the vibration of heaven. So not only do you carry the vibration, it's also the environment, the place which you choose. Because when you regularly pray at one spot, that area, also the vibration of that place changes. The atmosphere of that place changes. And if you do it enough, and if you have really focused meditation and prayers, you can actually literally open up a portal, So, but that takes a lot of determination and, and time to do that, and depends on how focused you are. So, yeah, this is a time to do all those things, which we don't really have the chance to do it. And also look at relationships, how we can create more loving relationships in the place we're in, whether we are alone or virtual. I have my family scattered. We're all by ourselves right now because, my mom is in another location. Right now, my brother, everybody is in different locations. And, to keep up with them, in touch with them every single day, to do joint prayers with them. And, so this is not really a trauma we're going through. It's a transformation. Always look at it as a transformation. And do not allow negative things to come in to your thinking of what's really happening right now. For those who have come online, I can't see your names, but thank you for joining me. All right? So I would not obsess too much with these prophecies, but do know that this is a time of change, major change, and we're going to look back and feel that we actually went through this. I would say, again, it may be difficult, a big challenge, but it's also a blessing to go through a major test like this. And the real blessing is when you come out of it, transform as a better person, and also you see the people around you transformed and with greater learning and wisdom. That's ultimately what it's all about. All right, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.